And now, yes, we're joined by Jay Robinson, DJ, producer, remixer, just down the road from me in Old Colwyn. I'm up here in Ross-on-Sea.
Yeah.
Oh, exactly, Martin. Isn't this an extraordinary coincidence? Jay, how are you?
Hello, yeah, I'm all right. What an introduction.
Well, it's nice having a superstar on your doorstep, really. You know?
I know, who's he? Where's that?
I thought you talk about me there.
No, it's not you, Martin. It's not you. No. But no, it's great to have you on, Jay. It really is fantastic. And thanks very much for doing it. And you've had an amazing career to date already. And things are really, really starting to go a bit stratospheric for you at the moment. So if we just sort of rewind back in time a little bit, if that's all right. So you started doing all this stuff, 15 years ago, 20 years ago?
Nearly 20 years ago. Jesus, yeah, I was 15.
Wow.
Yeah, it was all pretty much... It was two friends of mine in school had turntables, and I'd always done musical instruments, and I always got bored of them because it was, you play the cornet, you can only lock down.
So the cornet or the recorder, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, it was the cornet, the violin, guitar. It was all just I just got bored quickly, And then as soon as I saw turntables, I thought, oh, look, that's something I can get interested in. So I got into turntables, and it was just messing around, And then I think.
So did you do technology at college or school or uni?
I did music. I think when I was 17, I dropped out. I knew it was what I wanted to do. When I was 17, I dropped out of sixth form, much to much
your parents' delight. Yeah.
And I thought I was already tinkering around with making music and stuff. So I thought I'll try the local college and do music technology. See what happens, at least I'll have a qualification in it then. And obviously that didn't really pan out. Basically, we started using production software, and it quickly got to the point where me and a friend of mine, we were basically ahead of the tutor.
Right.
So it was like there's not really
oh dear.
Yeah. So basically we thought what we'll do is just leave, work a job, and then do the music as well. So at least we're earning some money, and then, we're learning how to do music. And obviously you could buy bits of gear and stuff. And then I think when I hit 19, I had an opportunity to go and live in Spain to be a resident DJ in a club there.
Oh, wow.
I went and did that for 6-7 months. And that was where I really, I had already done gigs and stuff before that, but that was like the, where you kind of practiced playing live a lot.
Yeah.
And then making music was always there. And then I never really got anywhere with making music till probably like 2 or 3 years later. I'll be honest with you, it's been probably until the past 2 years. I've not been happy with anything I've made until then.
Really?
And it's funny because when I listen back to the older stuff, even 3 years ago, I think, oh no, that's terrible. There's so many things wrong with it,
But when you're so close to it, though, Jay, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like with anybody. I wouldn't dare to compare my music with yours, but with anybody, when you're so close to that music, you'll always hear the flaws in it, but nobody else does.
Yeah. It's probably a large part of it, but then at the same time,
it's always the way.
Yeah, it is. I think you have to be. Being an artist of anything, creating anything is a real battle with basically the peaks and troughs of thinking, wow, I'm great at this. This is really good and I can make something really good. And then the next day being, I am awful. I should probably give up and just sell everything. And that is genuinely how it makes you feel. Well, it does me anyway. Days
so
just back the wall.
So what was your first break into actually starting to make music rather than just playing music?
It's hard to put I got signed to a label it was probably one of the first tracks I'd ever properly finished.
Yeah.
And I just thought, start demoing. It was in the days of MySpace. And I happened to just get signed to a label. I think they're in New York now. It was only just some fella running a label.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what it was now. But basically, it just kind of kept going from there. And then in my early 20s, like 23, 24 to mid 20s, I was getting quite a few gigs abroad. I was going around Europe and stuff, and it was going well. And then I kind of hit this wall where I was making things like dubstep and big room stuff, and none of it was really me. And I kind of felt like I lost my way. The gigs stopped coming. I went and got a job, like a proper full-time job. Before that, I was clinging on to being a musician, just, making bits of cash here and there, living in my parents' house. then obviously I met Laura, my partner, who I've been with for 10 years now. And it got to the point, well, 11 years actually, we got to the point where we wanted to move out and stuff. So I got a job and music kind of fell by the wayside. It was, I was still doing it and it was still releasing music. I think, and basically, we'll probably get onto this after, but a massive opportunity came my way for me to get out of working a job, and I haven't been in a job since, which is...
Well, that's tempted us right onto that then, isn't it? So what was that opportunity that came your way then?
So it's quite convoluted, so bear with me. Basically, there's a fella called Chris Lake, and I think, I don't know how many people who will listen to this will know who he is. Anyway, Chris Lake is probably one of the, if not the biggest house producer in the world at the minute. And he has, he's been pretty high up for years. So I bumped into someone in the Pen of Bryn in Colwyn Heights.
Right.
On a Christmas Eve. I was really drunk, called James, also called James Wade. And he, I hadn't seen him for years, and I used to skate with him when I was a teenager. And, we got talking. And he mentioned, he was saying, how's the DJing going? So, just trying to get myself out there. And he said, I work for a company called Rising Digital, which is owned by Chris Lake.
Right.
And just by a total random stroke of luck, I said, I'd like to send him some music. He said, okay, send it to me and I'll send it to him. So I did. Chris got back to me, said he really liked it. And then, I kept sending him music and stuff. And that was that. A few years later, a friend, now he's probably my best friend. He's my manager, closest ally, Mickey. Just out of the blue, I got speaking to him, and he was quite a big DJ in his own right, Mickey Slim. And so Mickey wanted to get into management because he'd had he's got a young family and stuff, and the touring life wasn't doing it for him anymore. So he said, I want to get into management. Would I be interested in trying to work together? So I obviously jumped at the chance. Then he is really good friends with a man called Dean Wilson. And Dean Wilson is one of these people in the industry who is, everybody knows Dean Wilson. He's deadmau5's manager.
Right.
So okay.
Started a venture with Dean Wilson. And obviously when Dean started listening to my music and stuff, I made a track called 1981. And that was actually with my 303 that Laura got me for Christmas.
Right.
It was the first track I'd ever made with it. We thought, well, we'll send it to Dean, see what he thinks. He played it to the team at Mousetrap. They signed it straight away. So I was obviously over the moon at being signed by Mousetrap. Then obviously they started to see some potential in me. And Dean said, why is he... I was working in a factory. I'm not going to mention which one, but it's the only one, big one around here. Yeah. So they basically said, how about we match, we'll get you out of there. We'll invest in you. We'll match what you're earning. We'll get you out, basically invest in you. So, I think that was 2018. Yeah, 2018. And they basically got me out of work, got me moving. I had my USB. It just, the gigs then started picking up. I played all the support for deadmau5's shows across America. I did quite a few in Britain. I did warehouse projects, print works. It was a good opportunity.
That's phenomenal, isn't it? I mean, again, we interviewed Dominic Holken a little while back. We also interviewed Chris Payne, and both of them said exactly the same thing. It's like these sliding doors moments where you just get this unusual opportunity that comes across your path. You've got to have the talent there in the first place, but all of a sudden this opportunity just suddenly steps across you, and you've got to grab it when it's there and think, right, well, this could be it. And sometimes it just is. That's life, isn't it? That's just... It's all just random. That's why any of us exist. It's just random chance. Everything's just exactly as it happens, and there's no real reason for it. It's just, I'm really lucky. I owe everything to Mickey, and I owe everything to Dean. I think that was when, like I said, I was really unhappy. Not really unhappy, but I was unhappy with the stuff I was making. Yeah. And that came at a time where it was like, all of a sudden, I was gifted financial security and a period of time before I actually started traveling. I had like 6 months where all I did was sitting here all day, every day. Laura went to work, so at 8 o'clock in the morning, I'd come straight in here, 5 o'clock back in the house. Before that, I was working shifts. So I'd finish work at 11 o'clock at night. I'd go and do music till 3, 4 in the morning, get up at 7 with Laura, do it again till 1 o'clock, go back to work. And that was my life for years. So as soon as I was, there was never, the problem with that was there was never time for experimentation. There was never really time for learning or anything. It was like, you've got something to do, you get in the studio, you do it, that's it. Yeah. So I think I've actually learned a lot of discipline from that. Like I can quite easily focus on what it is I need to do, get in the studio, I'll do it, and I'll get out, and that's it. Yeah. But I never really had that time to
focus on my craft, you know, and find a method of making things sound like me properly. And that's what that time gave me. And then even more so during the pandemic. During the pandemic, I feel like I've reached a point now where I am fully happy with my ability to make music. Maybe not necessarily write the most amazing music, but I know I can produce a song that will stand along, stand along with the rest of them.
Well, you're pretty handy, I've got to say, and the stuff you produced during the pandemic was amazing. I'm assuming that the Idris Elba track that you did, that was during the pandemic that you actually did that, because that was released during then, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but actually I actually made the first idea of that while I was still working a job.
Oh, really?
So when basically I was helping out a friend. I don't know if I should mention his name. Anyway, I was helping out a friend, and he had this a cappella that had Idris Elba on it from years ago, and it was just like a rap song. So there's like this Idris Elba rap song, and I got sent it and said, "Do you think there's anything you could do with the production? You know, in mind of using it for this other guy, not like for helping him basically make it something better because it had his vocals on it as well." And I was playing around with it and didn't really get anything going, but there was just this one section of vocal that was like, what you need to do is be you. So I was like, right, I cut that out and thought I'm going to try and let's just do something with it and see what happens. So I made the track, and then I was touring quite a lot and playing it out touring and stuff. And then my manager, Mickey, actually knows Idris's manager. So he did a Mousetrap basically said, we're really keen on this. So if we can get it moving, let's try and get it moving. I thought, it's worth a try, but it's never going to happen. So then they sent it. Idris had been playing my music before that, DJing and stuff. So I think he knew.
Oh, because he's a DJ. Yeah.
So he knew who I was. Yeah. And then it just basically, he said he loved it. We managed to get a deal in place. Then the pandemic happened. So before that, it was thinking, it'd be a really good opportunity. We'd go out and get some gigs, me and Idris Elba doing stuff together. Yeah. It didn't happen. But then, it opened the door, and, I've spoken to him just quite a bit now, and he's a really nice bloke. And just, a weird one. Like, it just taking a little sample from something I wasn't really supposed to sample, And my friend who wrote the music, I can't ever thank him enough, amazing.
And it is an amazing track. So if anybody hasn't heard it so far, it is called Know Yourself, isn't it? Jay Robinson featuring Idris Elba, and it is just superb. So again, with most of your music, Jay, where's the best place for people to go and find it? Is it SoundCloud or is it Spotify?
The best, I don't really like the way they, pay people, but SoundCloud, I'm going to publicly say this, SoundCloud is awful. It's one of the worst platforms I've ever used.
SoundCloud?
I upload something to SoundCloud and it instantly takes it down for copyright, even though it's my song.
Really?
I just can't fathom how that works.
I was involved with the early days of SoundCloud when it was more like a music community where people used to share stuff, collaborate, and they made it too corporate. So I left SoundCloud.
It used to be a really good platform. Like you said,
indeed.
Great for sharing music. Really,
absolutely.
You can listen to a song. It's terrible now,
Yeah, it is awful. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a shame because it was well, anyway, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, never mind.
It's all right. They'll sue you, Martin. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And you, when you quite early in your career as well, you managed to get yourself on Radio 1 as well, didn't you? On the Annie Nightingale show. So how did you manage to get yourself on there?
That's a funny story. So I guessed her email address and got it right.
Really?
That's a good one.
Yeah, I basically just guessed the email, sent some music. She liked it, said they had a slot open for a mix. Would I like to do it? I was just like, yeah. So I turned it around in, like 3 or 4 days, and that was that. Just blagging it,
Well, sometimes that's what you got to do, isn't it? You just got to chance your arm, give it a go, and you never know what might happen.
The main rule is there are no rules. Just do whatever it takes, and
exactly.
Out and get it.
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. So you're sitting inside your studio there as well. Can you just give us a very brief tour of your studio and just show us what you're using on a daily basis to actually produce and make music?
Yeah, I don't want to pick this up just in case it disconnects. There's like Martin's old the X synth that I bought in here.
That's how we met. You just came around and said, yeah.
That was just before everything ended,
It's still working good.
Of course it is. I've got that. I've got an Ovation K station, which I've had since, oh, bloody hell. I've had that 10 years now, maybe more. That was the first piece of hardware I ever got.
Yeah.
A Moog Sub Fatty, an ARP Odyssey behind you. And then over here.
Oh, an ARP Odyssey.
Yeah, great synth. I've got.
Yeah.
I use Cubase, so I've got a Steinberg UR824.
I was going to ask you the software. Yeah, so you got Cubase. Yeah.
And then I've got one of my secret weapons, which is an Aphex 104 Aural Exciter, which I never see anyone using. It cost me virtually, I think it was 60 quid, 70 quid.
Really?
This is how I've accumulated all this stuff, just managed to get things cheap on Facebook Marketplace or whatever. But it's just like it just adds, you can get a software version. I think there's a Waves version.
Right.
It's just Aural Exciter. All it does is just adds a little top end to things, brightens them up. I've got a 166XL DBX compressor. Then I've got a Fostex 3070 compressor, which I use as like a parallel chain to go. Basically, I just run I like running vocals through it. And then I've got a Clark Technic EQ PKT, pair of those, which is like the old, like the Pultec EQs.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're basically, a rip-off of the Pultec EQs. They sound great. I've got a Juno 106 behind me over there, which is my favourite synth. Then below you, I've actually got a rack unit, which is Elisa's Quad Reverb. Then I've got two Behringer outboard things, which people frown upon Behringer. I got these. I got them for £20.
Really?
They're just multi-band.
They do good kit, Behringer. Yeah, they do some really good kit, and and it's reasonably priced. Even brand new, they're reasonably priced. Yeah, whatever you get.
And then I've got a Patch Bay, and then below that my Korg MS2000R, which I actually bought from a man in Colwyn Bay.
Right.
I've always actually Behringer. I got from where did I get that from? Landing Junction. I got the MS2000R from Colwyn Bay. I got the Fostex compressor from Rill. What else have I got? I think that's it. And obviously the DX that I got from you, Martin.
From Kumagla.
Yeah. And I used to have a Moog Sub Fatty. It's just a beautiful, beautiful sound to that piece of equipment. It's just awesome. It's a lovely piece of
that was my first ever paycheck from my proper job. That was what I bought.
Oh, really? And it's the thing I love. I mean, it sounds amazing, but it looks amazing. It's just a proper, lovely, big, chunky piece of hardware. It's gorgeous. It really is. It's brilliant.
Properly solid, really well built.
It is. So, and again, now we're just moving right into modern day, and you've literally just released, I think only like 2 days ago, it's your latest remix, which is absolutely amazing. We've just listened to it on the show, so we're just actually doing this interview straight after that. So it's the remix of Acapulco by Jason Derulo. So, and it is utterly awesome, Jay. I mean, it is just amazing. It really is. So how on earth did you manage to pull that off? That's just it's like a real coup, that is.
Jason Derulo, one of the biggest pop names. Yeah.
Well, in the world, yeah.
I can't believe they accepted it, in all honesty. So I know basically Atlantic Records reached out for some demos because obviously they're always putting. I think that one of their A&Rs had been listening to my stuff for years, and then obviously the Axwell thing came out, and a lot of people, noticed it, and he reached out again for demos. So we sent some stuff over. None of it was right for them, which it's what happens. And my manager Mickey basically just said, any chance of us doing a remix for you? Because Atlantic has obviously got some of the best artists in the world, and thought, give it a go. You never know what will happen. So they actually said, we've got this Jason Derulo track. So I thought, interesting. We sent the track over, and I thought it's going to be difficult to put my style on that. So I, went away and did it. I actually had more vocal in that than is on the final version, and they asked me to take vocal out. Which
it's quite sparse, isn't it? The vocal,
Working with a major label is you never think they're going to tell you to take vocal out. Yeah. In my experience, the bigger the artist you work with, the more vocal they want you to put in usually.
Right.
And which is weird because the same thing happened with my remix for Deadmau5 and the Neptunes, like that. They asked to take vocal out. But so anyway, it was just, obviously I've caught the ear of an A&R, and they liked what I did, and we basically just hassled them for a remix, and then that was that. And then it was really quite quick. I only did that remix, I think like 2 months ago. which is really quick for a turnaround on a release, you know?
Yeah.
Considering I wait.
So for the
actual thing, I waited a year and a half.
Blimey.
What's the process of someone say, right, here's a track? They supply the stems to you? And how do you go about it?
So basically you'll get sent, it depends on, obviously every person who exports the stems is different. So for this one in particular, you get the vocals as separate. So you get the main vocal, harmony, backgrounds and stuff. Separate. And then you'll get like synths, bass, drums, kick drums, usually separate from the drums, then effects. So all I did was go into that. And then what I try and do with remixing, obviously, is rather than completely force something I want on it, I try and think of something that would suit that, if you know what I mean, which is probably why a lot of my stuff, isn't all, one particular very set style. It's to just always do what works for the track,
Yeah. Because remixing, sorry, Martin, but remixing is extremely difficult. And again, I started out, when I first started trying to do music, I thought, I'll tell you what, I'll do something easy. I'll do remixing first before I start to do my own stuff. And then worked out very, very quickly how incredibly hard that actually is, because you're actually trying to improve on something which is already brilliant.
It's funny you say that, because that is really how I learned to make music. Because obviously, like you say, a lot of
remixing first, then creating your own stuff. Yeah.
It was more like basically, it was more like I can't sing, unfortunately. So I was always thinking, I want something with some vocals in it, so let's just go and get an a cappella and then just make something out of that.
Yeah.
I really enjoy remixing, and I really enjoy the challenge of doing something that you think, I am never going to be able to do this, finding that one little piece in it that you can stretch into a whole song.
Yeah.
Which the Jason Derulo thing was like, there's a harmony in the background that I've made it go, and that was like one tiny section of two different parts of the vocal that I looped and just all.
Oh, really?
Up,
So so when you're doing it, then, do you look for sorry, Martin, I'll let you get your question in a second. I told you I'm terrible at this. But so when you're doing this, do you look for a certain, like a little hook in there or a little key piece of that, and then take that and then use that as the base for the whole thing?
Yeah, basically. What happens with me, I don't know how everyone else works, because obviously I don't know anyone else's brain, but I hear one thing, and then I'll hear one part of the vocal, and then it just kind of, in my mind, I can just hear the whole track. Then it's like the whole track, I know what I'm going to do, and then you just build it. So like with that, it was like, I thought it'd be really cool to just have a dead simple piano chord, just over and over and over and over and over. Very simple tune that's just really driving bass line, Yeah, it just kind of.
So is this fairly exclusive? Are there any other DJs mixing his particular track, or have you got fairly exclusive rights on this?
Oh no, there are. I think there are 2 other remixes.
Okay, so there are others. Yeah.
I heard one of them, and it was really quite close to the original, which I
like about it, because I've listened to your remix, and then I thought, well, okay, I don't know the original, which is obviously a belting pop song, and they're obviously very different, and that's the good thing about it. You almost you always sort of can't tell that the original from the remix.
Yeah,
and that's what I think is good about it. Yeah.
Well, it was I honestly never thought they would accept it. I just thought, this is so weird that they're never going to get behind this. I think from last check, it's like 100,000 plays in a day, which is pretty.
Really?
That's pretty. Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad.
We'll hopefully give it a few more.
Oh yeah. I think Jason Derulo gets quite a few on his own,
Yeah, he probably gets a couple, doesn't he? Yeah, he probably is all right.
I thought YouTube comments would be really bad as well, but they haven't been so bad. Because YouTube is you should go to feel bad about yourself,
Well, yeah, exactly. I know there are some interesting people out there, but it is such an awesome song. I don't know anybody can put any negative comments about it. So what does the future hold now, Jay? So what have you got that you can tell us about that's on the horizon?
So let me just think. I've got another release coming on Axwell's label. and I think it's like exactly a month away. And then after that, I've got a release with I don't know. Well, I probably could say it. Have you ever heard of Defected? I don't know if you will have done. Defected is like the god of house music. Defected.
Okay.
You will definitely know records that have been on Defected because they are just, basically they're getting the charts.
Right.
And okay. You get something signed with them, which is like a lifelong. The first records I ever bought of house music were Defected records.
Wow.
Okay.
20 years ago.
We'll look them up.
Yeah, you'll know some of their records. Yeah, I've got that coming. I've got another record coming out with Mousetrap. And then after that, I don't know.
Have you got any live?
Hoping? Yeah, I was about to say that. I guess you're hoping to do some festivals next year. So
I hope so. I mean, I'm going to have a gig in Liverpool next month, which would be nice. A club again. I haven't played in a club since early 2020. I played Creamfields over the summer. That was good. It was good to get back out there. And then I'm hoping, I've been working with Tomorrowland quite a bit, so I'm hoping I can get on Tomorrowland next year. We'll see.
Oh, that'd be amazing. That'd be absolutely amazing. Well, Jay Robinson, it's been an absolute pleasure. Really appreciate you spending your what is actually a Saturday afternoon with us. I'm sure you've got much better things to do than to chat to me and Martin. So
making some horrible noises at loud volume.
But it's been amazing. And again, well done with the new track. And I hope it's a fantastic success. I'm sure it will be. So again, if anybody hasn't heard it so far, please do go and look it up. It's Jason Derulo's Acapulco. It's the Jay Robinson remix. I listened to it on, I think it was on Spotify. I listened to it again this morning. And it's awesome. So yeah, please go and dig that out. Jay Robinson, it's been an utter pleasure meeting you and chatting to you. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thanks, Jay.